Welcome to this very happy and excited edition of the Eric Avasar Show, where I will now talk about Virginia Tech's 36-13 season opening win over the Liberty Flames at Lane Stadium. For Justin Fuente, his first time experiencing the game day atmosphere at Virginia Tech certainly did not disappoint. Lane Stadium was rocking and ready to roll. And, for the Hokies, a very, very nice way to start the season. Slow start, you could call it, with that early missed field goal and such. But, once the offense got going, it was just so beautiful and refreshing to see a competent and talented quarterback who really knows what he is doing for the first time in such a long time. Jared Evans went 20 of 32 for 221 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Had some accuracy issues early on, missed some passes in particular to junior phenom wide receiver Isaiah Ford, but overall, what a performance from Evans. I mean, this is a guy who's very mobile, broke some nice runs, has a big arm, very talented. At times, he seemed like he was keen to hold on to the ball for too long, but that's something that can surely be fixed over time. I do really, I'm very excited for what Evans can bring to the table. 3 of his 4 touchdown passes came on touch passes, so that's something the product of a very talented player. I mean, he has what maybe we could call after one game at least his signature throw, the fade route into the corner of the end zone. He made that on 3 occasions, 2 of which to Bucky Hodges and one to Isaiah Ford, who made a beautiful ballerina act to get that foot in. I did not think he scored that, but upon further review, it was clear he did. Now, the first touchdown of the game was a little bit more of a fling. He showed off his strength with zip style to Cam Phillips. And Phillips, another, talented Hokie who, you hope can continue to develop. I do hope that, he doesn't lose any confidence over that fumble that ended up in Liberty returning for a touchdown and taking their one and only lead of the game. But I kind of do like the fact that, the Hokies faced some early adversity and responded so well. From that point on, once they went down, that was pretty much, all right, well, it's time to clamp down and show that we mean business. And, they finished the first half strong. Obviously, the second half, once they got that early touchdown, you kind of sense at that point that, hey, maybe they would actually cover the 31.5 point spread after all. That did not come to fruition for all you gambling addicts out there. But, it was clearly a team in which the team, or clearly a game in which the team played better as it went along. Obviously got to give a big shout out to Isaiah Ford. I thought the offensive player of the game with 11 receptions, 117 yards, and that touchdown catch. Mr. Consistency, Mr. Get It Done in any way he can. And, Bucky Hodges, beautiful seeing him. He was virtually silent before he caught that first touchdown pass. But he ended with 3 catches, with 42 yards and those pair of touchdowns. And, in terms of the running game, though, I am concerned about how the carries will break down. Early on, Trayvon McMillan hardly touched the ball. I'm pretty sure he only had 1 carry in the first half, and if he had more, it wasn't much more. So McMillan, had the most carries out of all Virginia Tech running backs, with 13 attempts, but it was a very widespread distribution as 10 different Hokies carried the rock. Sam Rogers was dominating the touches in the first half, and don't get me wrong, I love Sam Rogers' work ethic. I mean, he is so tough, does so many different things. He is the Swiss Army knife of the Hokie football team. But Sam Rogers is not a breakaway threat. He doesn't bring the elusiveness and the agility that a Trayvon Martin or even a Shai McKenzie can bring to the table. So I really hope on first and second downs, when Tech has much more of a shot of breaking long runs, that we see McMillan and McKenzie toting the rock a little bit more. Now, we got to give a huge tip of the cap to the Hokie defense. They were just on point, playing so aggressively, bringing it from the very beginning. Those 2 interceptions from Greg Stroman were just fantastic. Stroman's second one in particular, the one-handed grab. I mean, wow, what a catch that was. It makes you wonder if he should have been a wide receiver. Stroman did a nice job with the kick returns. For me, the defensive player of the game. Love seeing him perform well so early. And, I loved seeing Brandon Faison get all excited and a little bit mad at himself when he broke up that pass that he thought of could have been a pick early on. But honestly, I'm just so happy to see Faison on the field and healthy. So, people were cracking jokes early on in the game that Liberty, is committing more penalties than UVA had fans at their spring game. They kept shooting themselves in the foot early on, and their quarterback did not seem like the most proficient of passers. But again, the defense came up big. It was also very nice to see Terrell Edmonds get a big interception of his own, plucking that one out of the air on an underthrown ball. But, Virginia Tech only allowed 2 third down conversions on 15 separate third downs. Conversely, the Hokies converted 50% of their third down attempts, going 10 of 20. The Hokies finished the game with 458 total yards, more than twice what Liberty finished with at 160. Obviously, Liberty is not a big-time opponent. You can't draw too many conclusions from this game, but it was very positive to see a lot of guys, out on the field, getting their reps in a competitive situation. We don't know, if that's the situation that's going to present itself later on in the season against much, much more competitive competition starting next week at Tennessee. But, I do find it interesting that once Wyatt Teller came into the game, Virginia Tech got those 2 late first half touchdowns. I do hope Teller plays more, but perhaps there's more to the story with his situation with Fuente than meets the eye. But I think that Teller is probably our most talented offensive lineman. But the Hokies coming out are now 1-0, opening the season with that dub. And like I said, we'll be playing against Tennessee next week in what will be the highest attended college football game ever at Bristol Motor Speedway. They're with around 180,000 seats. Not sure how many of those are going to be filled. And of course, many people are going to need binoculars for what I think is, to some extent, a publicity stunt. But nevertheless, it is still going to be a great event for those who go. And I will close on this note, Hokie fans. For those who have passed and for those to come, reach for excellence.